Right. What I believe our role at Primerica is to give you the three things that are necessary to be successful with your securities license. I call it experience, information, and a plan. So experience, if you don't have any experience at Primerica, what should you do? My suggestion would be is to borrow somebody's. As a resource, am coming up on my 30th year with the company. And so I have experience. I would suggest that when I don't have enough experience or I feel like I need to tap into somebody, I have the ability to reach out and garner information from all of our portfolio manager teams. We have an experienced team at Franklin Templeton with, on average, 27 years experience, 17 with our company. So, experience is not what you get on Robinhood or Acorns or NerdWallet. That's great for your play money. When you have serious money, what you want to do is you want to tap into people who have experience. And so that's what we provide you, and all the vendors provide you at Primerica. The second is information. Information and knowledge of how to use it creates power. Information without the knowledge of how to use it oftentimes creates panic. And I always flash back to COVID as a great example of panic. None of us, myself included, knew what was happening to us in March of 2020. What happened in the markets are that people took their investments out, and the market dropped precipitously. By the end of 2020, the stock market was up 20%. 18 thereabouts. But what you saw was at its low in 1 month, uh, the market was down 37%. And so information gleaned from Instagram or Google, Ask Jeeves, I don't know where people get information from, but I do know it's mostly the internet, creates panic. And what we're going to provide you is access to information from financial services companies. And so getting your financial information from a financial services company is more credible. And with that credibility, I think you'll be rewarded. And the last part's a plan. Everybody tells me they want to be rich. That's fantastic. You want to be called rich? Change your name to Richard. I'll call you Rich. One of the things I think we try to always focus people's attention on is why people invest. People invest for three reasons. You want to be financially independent. That's when you have a big enough pile of money here that you can replace your working income. And most people call that retirement. And that's a goal. And I'm going to cover that extensively because the four-legged stool of retirement, three legs are broken. The second reason why people invest is they have kids and they want better for their children than they had for themselves. There isn't a parent alive that doesn't want to fully fund their child's future. Unfortunately, what happens oftentimes is they don't do a significant enough job and then don't have the resources for college, which is a major expense. And the third reason people invest is you have a big goal or dream. Every goal and dream I have costs me money. I married. Every goal and dream she has cost me money. I have three children. Every goal and dream, well, we have three children. Every goal and dream we have for them is going to cost me money. So I fall into all three categories. And my question for you is, how many do you fall into? And what are you doing to make, save, and accumulate money? Let's focus on retirement because I think 92% of all people want to retire or are saving for retirement at Primerica. Four-legged stool of retirement. Social Security, broken. Now, how do I know that? I'm 59 years old myself. They've already told me that in about 8 years, they won't have but 80% of my benefit. So if I was expecting $1,000, I'm going to get a check unless they change something in the next 8 years for about $800. It's not like Social Security is going to go away because we'll always pay into it, but the benefit is going to be decreased unless something changes. The second leg that's broken is a pension. Why are pensions broken? Well, simple. Only 1 out of 9 people working have a pension, and a pension is a fixed income. Fixed income is great when costs are fixed, but costs aren't fixed. And those are the people who probably complain the loudest when the price of eggs skyrocketed, because all of a sudden you have decisions to make. Do we purchase things that cost more, or do we opt to do something else with the money? And most of the time it's, purchase the drugs that, keep your blood pressure regulated, or the things that people spend money on for health reasons. And that's a challenge that I think most people are facing. And so pensions broken. 1 out of 9 people have one. Third leg that's broken is personal savings. And personal savings is 401ks, 403bs. I always break it out because I think most people have two challenges with their retirement plan. First thing is they're not fully funding it. Think about this. The last year you could have put $23,000 in your 401k or 403b. 31,000 if you're over 50, or 55 actually. So think about that for a second, because what ends up happening is the average person puts away about $3,000. So you could have put away 23,000, you put away 3,000. Would Two questions. Would you rather overfund or underfund your retirement? And most people say overfund it. Would you rather find out today or in 30 years you did? And I think most people would rather find out today because you can make subtle adjustments to your plan that'll make a big difference in your life. But when you get to 65 and look at your account and go, oh, do I have enough money? That's a challenge. And that's one that most people are going to have. The second reason why 401ks, 403bs are broken is the average person quits a job, leaves a job, loses a job, or retires 7 times, which means they potentially have 7 different piles of money all spread out in different areas with no idea how they're doing. Different piles of money working toward a common goal, doing something different is not a plan. It's a mess. Most people can't balance their checkbook, much less 7 accounts. What we always suggest is what we call a rollover IRA. You get 3 benefits in a rollover IRA: control, ownership, relationship. So control. What does control look like? The average 401k has 16 investment options. Primerica offers over 2,000. But what we're going to do is we're going to take 2,000, which seems like a daunting task with the technology and resources we have at Primerica, and take those down to the ones that work best for you. And I always interlock my fingers because it's like building a puzzle. We're going to utilize different products and different asset allocations for your particular situation to make sure that your investments match your investment goals. So some people need more protection. Some people need a better asset allocation. Some people need more income. We'll figure yours out. Second is ownership, as access to your money. Now, access to your money is in case you happen to want to retire early, you could do what's called a 72T distribution. Don't get hung up on the tax law. Just realize there are ways to take money out of a 401k, sorry, an IRA, without penalties that you don't have access to in a 401k. The third one is the R, relationship. Every retirement plan gives you the same thing. It's called a toll-free number. Dial that number. Get the person's name. Hang up. Dial that number right back. What are the chances you get the same person twice? You're never going to get it. You ever talk to anybody on a recorded line? Why do they record the line? It's for training purposes.
You're
So they
right.
once you hang up the phone, you're gone, you're in the ether, and they take the person off the phone line and retrain them. So you might not get the most trust, the most on, you might not get the best information. And the reason why is simple. Uh, you don't know whether you're getting the person who's got 10 years or 10 minutes experience. The one leg that's not broken is the one leg that Primerica helps people with more often. It's called an IRA. $7,000 a year or $583 a month is a fully funded IRA. You could start an IRA at Primerica for as little as $25. You are not going to intimidate us with $50, but do what you can afford. And what we're going to suggest is the maximum. 583 a month, 30 years, 10% rate of return. You're not getting 10% in a bank, a bond, whole life policy, fixed annuity, under the mattress, tin can behind the wall, real estate, gold, Bitcoin, Susu, marijuana stocks, VUL, infinite banking, all the exotic programs that the investment industry will come up with in the next 20 years. Mutual funds have been around since 1924, have averaged 10%. Now, how do I know that? I'll go to my trusty the trusty Discover brochure, which is on page 8, the discipline page. And if you take a look since 1937, the stock market, the S&P 500, an index, it averages average 10.7%. So you're not getting 10% in banks, bonds, whole life, all the other exotic investments, and mutual funds being around since 1924 have averaged 10% if you just used an index. Now we have funds that can beat the index, and that's our job. Our job is to, where you want to make more return, give you more return potentially. But What I'm trying to show you is the um, the return potential of getting 10% will be dramatic on your money because of the rule of 72. $7,000 a year, 10% rate of return, 30 years is $1.1 million. Is that enough to stay retired? I would suggest it's better than what most people have. Now imagine you're married and you can get your spouse to listen to you just one time. Honey, fund your IRA. Because marriage, I always say, is like a deck of cards. You need two hearts and one diamond when it starts. 5 to 7 years into it, one of you are looking for a club and a spade. And the challenge is you don't want to be the person who's looking for the club because your spouse didn't listen to you. Now imagine you have an IRA. Your spouse listens to you just that one time. Honey, fund your IRA also. You have $2.2 million in your IRA. Is that enough to stay retired? It's significantly better than what most people have. And imagine if it was tax free legally. That's where the Roth IRA comes in. And I think most people don't realize the Roth IRA is the single greatest investment account created by the government years ago. And I would say about 95% of all Americans qualify for a Roth IRA. Close to 40% have one, which means that there are significant benefits that people aren't using to accumulating wealth. In my example, $2.2 million and paying no taxes legally on distributions. And I don't care where you live, most people don't want to pay more taxes, but what most people don't explore are ways to avoid taxes legally. And I would suggest to you, most people need an IRA because if you think about what I just outlined to you in the four-legged stool of retirement, if you're relying on the government, you're not in control. If you're relying on a company or an institution like a municipality, you're not in control. If you're doing it on your own, you might not be doing a good enough job. The one leg that we help you with is the IRA, and that helps you seize control because if you overfund your retirement, we did a good job. If you happen to have a couple of $1 million in tax-free accounts, we did a good job. Now, why would you want to get securities license today? Simple. The value of getting your license today is exciting, more exciting than any other period in my career. I've been in this business now coming up on 30 years. I think I'm 127 days away from my 30th anniversary at the company, and yet what is keeping me excited is that there's a wave of money that is bigger and coming faster than anybody anticipated. We call it the changing faces of wealth. What I'm going to show you in this program are the different ethnic groups and I should say ethnic groups, just the different groups, and how much money is going to be in motion. Franklin Templeton estimates that over the next 5 to 20 years, there's going to be anywhere from 70 to $105 trillion that is going to change hands. And so, why do I say that? I want you to think about a population called the baby boomers, people born between 1946 and 1964. It's about 70 million people. The first baby boomers next year are going to start turning 80 years old. Unfortunately, when people get into their 80s, some of them pass. This part of the population is going to start transitioning money to the next generation, Generation X, people like myself who have parents who are in their mid 80s or early 80s currently, and the amount of money that they have is staggering. It's estimated to be around $60 trillion. They control a greater portion of the wealth in this country. The first baby boomers, people born between 1960 and 1964, are going to start turning 65. And the amazing part about that is, what do most people do when they hit age 65? They retire. And they start looking at the pile of money that they have and saying, I need to transition from accumulation to distribution. And at that point, they have what I like to call serious money. And when we get back to the four-legged stool of retirement, which was in my setup, what do they need to do? They need to get control of their money. They need to make sure it's protected. They want to make sure that they're generating enough income as well as making sure they don't end up back at work. So let's go through the different groups and why I feel Primerica is the only company that is perfectly positioned to capitalize on this wall of wealth or this massive movement of money that is going to happen next year and over the next 5 years, and it will have legs that are going to last at least 20 years. So when you think about our industry and you think about Primerica specifically, we hire people, we recruit people, we attract people to our business. And I would suggest if you think about any of the other financial services companies, they are not actively recruiting a diverse sales force. Merrill Lynch is not trying to recruit everybody. They want, specific people. Charles Schwab. I mean, you name a company, they would like to, but they're not as active in it as Primerica. And so just pick a group. I'll start with Asian American and Pacific Islanders. They control a lot of money. Purchasing power is larger than all but 13 countries at $1.3 trillion dollars. They have unique financial goals. And so what you will find in Primerica is, what you'll find in general is people tend to like with people they have a common bond with. So if you happen to hire and attract people from the Asian and Pacific Island community, you are breaking into a group that has a median household income that is significant of about $97,000. Multi-generational households, 1 out of 4 times, and their goals are providing for their family members because this was a survey of people who are in that community. What we're trying to do is figure out what makes them tick. And so I would suggest if you have any people on your team that are in this group, you have a greater likelihood of attracting people to your business. Second group, Black and African Americans, another $1.7 trillion purchasing power. They're millennials on average. The average age of somebody in the Black and African American community, 35 years old back in 2021. You'll see they're significantly more focused on providing for their family members, higher education. 1 out of 5 people are. And so this is another community that there's a common bond you tend to attract people to. Latino and Hispanic Americans, probably the largest growth population in Primerica today. $1.84 trillion of purchasing power, growing population of 62.1 million, a young population, however. And you'll see covering long-term healthcare expenses is the most important thing to them. Only 6% paying off student debt and loans. And so the dynamic that drives them is different. And once again, we can attract this group to Primerica. Millennials. You've got a tremendous opportunity here. I mean, I have a couple of millennials in my that, or they don't live with me anymore. One's in college and two moved to New York City. But by 2029, there'll be 38.5 million millennials in the workforce, pushing people like me out. But they have a desire for technology. They're among the people who think they could do it on their own. And as I always come back to, that's fantastic when you have play money. But once you get serious money is anything that has a comma. You'll want to focus some attention on better resources. And I would suggest that millennials, while managing their money using technology and access on apps is important, that's at a certain point you're probably going to transition once you have money you don't want to lose. And this might be the largest or the second largest part of our population, depending upon um, there's only 2 groups as far as I know, men and women. Women by the year 2030 are going to control about $30 trillion of baby boomers' money. And so today they control 12 trillion. We're talking
Wow.
about trillions of dollars.
Hmm.
I don't think we're going to capture all of it, but I do know this. Anytime you put a TR in front of an illion, it's a heck of a lot of money. I would like to help you count it. Whether it's 70 or 105 trillion, this is more money than most people could imagine. It is significantly larger than every other economy in the world today. And it is going to happen just because over the next 5 years, the first baby boomers will start turning 80. The last baby boomers are going to start retiring. And the transition of money down the generational line, we don't know what to do with it. You can only do two things with money. You can invest it, which means that you are going to take money and need somebody to help you, or you could spend it, which will drive economic activity. And economic activity will help drive the stock market higher. If the stock market's higher, what do people start to think about doing? Investing. And if they invest, maybe they do it on their own. Maybe they need an investor, somebody to help as an advisor, or somebody to help them reposition their assets. And I would suggest over the next 5 years, you want to get a securities license because you will be positioned in front of that wave. And the conversations you want to have are simple. Just start talking to people today about what you do with your license, helping people save for retirement, helping people save for education, helping people save for goals and dreams.